Hi everybody and welcome to my channel. Today I'll be doing my August wrap-up and talking about all the books I read in the last month. I'll be going from the lowest rated book to the highest rated book. I hope you enjoy. So my lowest rated book is incidentally a 1-star rated book, and it is A Little Life by Hanya Yanagihara. And I think this is a perfect example of a weak author trying to hide their weakness behind shock value scenes. I don't know how to describe this book apart from saying that it is rape porn. The characters are very one-dimensional and have no development arc whatsoever, which is a bad sign in a book that is a character study. Furthermore, the portrayal of gay characters and gay relationships is very offensive, with the only really two gay characters being once a stereotypical autistic queen and the other one being a rapist. I have a whole review where I talk about how horrible this book is. I don't want to go further into this just because I'm so over A Little Life. And if you're interested, you can just click somewhere here and watch it. So to my 2-star reviews. The first book I'm going to review is The Crimson Rivers by Jean-Christophe Grange. And The Crimson Rivers is a detective-centered crime thriller where you follow two different detectives. The first detective is trying to solve a murder in a small university town, and the other one is investigating a school break-in as well as a break-in into a grave from a 10-year-old boy who died 15 years ago. And as these two detectives are solving their crimes or trying to investigate them, at some points their paths intersect. The plot is really strong in The Crimson Rivers. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was high-paced and very complex, but what I really hated and what pulled this book down from a 5-star to a 2-star was the two detectives who were very toxic, masculine, just breaking down doors, not sticking to the law for no reason whatsoever. And I just got so annoyed by them and this just aggressive behavior that it ruined the entire experience. And there were times that I wanted to put this book down, but it was never due to the plot, but due to these two detectives. The second book I want to talk about in the 2-star category is The Humans by Haig. And I had actually been really looking forward to reading this book. It was recommended so often. It's a first contact with alien story where an alien is sent to Earth because a mathematician solved one of the biggest mathematical problems of all time. And with a solution, humans could become a danger to all other species in the universe. The alien is sent down in the form of this mathematician who was killed before that. And he is supposed to kill off anyone who knows the solution to this mathematical riddle. This book is supposed to be a humorous look at what it means to be human, and I really enjoyed the first page, especially the first paragraph, but after that it just went downhill for me. I read the opening chapter where the alien in form of this mathematician is running down the motorway completely naked and is filmed and everything. I couldn't really laugh at it because I felt so sorry for his wife and his son who didn't know what was going on and were also made to be the laughingstock of the nation. And I felt so horrible and I pitied them the entire way through. I didn't find anything after the first page funny just because I found this idea too depressing. And I don't think I really like the trope of aliens inhabiting the body of humans. I think I've only read one book so far, which was The Host by Stephanie Meyer. I didn't enjoy that one either, but I can't find the humor in such a situation. Plus this book didn't invoke any philosophical questions in me. I don't think I am a philosophical person to start off with, but I never really thought about what it means to be human until the end when I remembered, oh, that's what this book was supposed to be about. So it's a 2-star for me. So we're now in the 3.5 to 4-star category. I couldn't really decide where to put the next two books, so I'll just put them somewhere in the middle. And the first one is Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. This is a 2-timeline story. In the first timeline, we're following a detective who is trying to solve the death of a young man. It is unclear whether he died of an accident or was murdered, but the entire town thinks that it was a reclusive young woman who lives in the marsh and has been called the Marsh Girl for multiple decades. And the second timeline starts around 15 years earlier and follows this marsh girl named Kaya, who grows up out in the marsh, pretty secluded from civilization. She is abandoned by her mother and brother when she's 6 or 7 years old, and then lives with her alcoholic father, never goes to school. They don't have plumbing or electricity or anything like that. The second timeline follows her growing up until it intersects with the first timeline, where the body is found, and just kind of shows what really happened back then, or how the events came into play that led to the death of this young man. In general, I really enjoyed this book. I do enjoy two timeline stories in general. I thought it was quite a unique story, and I really enjoyed getting to know Kaya's character and her interaction to various people who go in and out of her life. But what I really did not like was the pacing. It was way too slow for me. I think I could have done with the book that was only half as long, and I really struggled to get through the first third or so. And I was actually listening to the audiobook at 1.5 speed at some point, just because I thought I'd have to put it down otherwise and wouldn't finish it. The second 3.5 to 4-star book I want to talk about is Such a Fun Age by Kiley Reid. And we follow Amira, who is babysitting 2-year-old Briar in the supermarket and then gets accused of kidnapping. After that, we follow 2 points of views, one being Amira and the other her employer, Alex. And this book has this overarching theme of racism, but if you really look deeper at it, it's satire of white wokeness and how white people make racist incidents about themselves and not the person who is actually affected by them. The story is also about Amira and how she tries to find her way in life in her mid-20s, still working as a babysitter, thinking about what career she wants or how she's just going to financially survive in the long term. I listened to this book as an audiobook and I absolutely loved it. It was really fun to listen to, and I loved the narrator's voice. I will put their name in somewhere over here. I can really recommend this book. I just had so much fun with it. The reason why I bumped it down to a 4-star was because at the end of a book we have these two characters who up to that point have been a bit grayish. In the last chapter, the whole situation is turned around, that it isn't a grey situation anymore, but that the characters are quite black and white. And I was disappointed by that because that was actually one of the strong points of Such a Fun Age, that these characters were so grey and you didn't know how to feel about them at certain points. The last book I want to talk about, and this is the only 5-star book I read this month, is Invisible Women by Criado Perez. This is a non-fiction book. I don't read that many non-fiction books, but this was amazing. And in this book, Criado Perez looks at how data excludes women and what an influence this has on the life of women. So she looks at data from people's private lives, the workplace, medical areas, just all areas of life in general. And she shows how not collecting data from women or just ignoring it disadvantages women all throughout their life. And she also shows how easy it would be to collect data, or how we actually know quite a bit and are actively not sourcing data just because it would make life more complicated for companies or politicians or whoever is in power, just because women aren't men and they have different needs. And this really opened my eyes to a lot of issues I had never thought about. Just in general, this is a very, very educational book. It produced a lot of emotions for me, so I was angry, I was crying, I was just so shook at times, and I don't think a book has really produced so many emotions in me in quite a while. So this was something I hadn't expected from a non-fiction book, to be honest. So that was all the books I read this month. Even though 3 of these books were in the 1 to 2 star category, I have a feeling that it was a really good reading month just because the other 3 books were so strong. I hope I'll be able to read this many books in September. Maybe I'll put in more audiobooks, but in general, as the months get darker and rainier, I do start reading more, so I don't think that will be a problem. I don't really have that many books on my TBR right now, so I don't know what these books are going to be yet. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. I would also appreciate if you'd like this video and subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every single week, so I'll see you in 7 days. Bye!